So working back on the command line of our 1404 Ubuntu desktop, we're going to take a look at what comes with our bind package. So we can use the Debian packager, so dpkg minus capital L, and then just go through and take a look at our bind 9 package. When we go through, obviously we get a lot of information printing out, but it's representative of everything that is included inside the package. Some of the things that we can take note of straight away, we can see then the /etc/bind and /named.conf. This is our main configuration file. We also have some working zone files that we can take a look at. Again, in the etc bind directory, db.local and db.127. We can obviously scroll back and see more information, but take the time to look at what's included within your package. If I wanted to check the version, then I can actually go through and run the name daemon itself. So name daemon minus lowercase v will give me for like the simple information coming back with virtually just the version number. If I use uppercase V, then we're going to get more information coming back. We see that same line, but we also have some of the compile options, what's been included and how it was compiled. So for simple information, we can just use named minus V. Let's take a look if we go through into cd/etc/bind and then clear this out. When we list the contents of the directory, of course, we can then see some of those files that we were looking at when we used the Debian packaging command. If we want to take a look at our named.conf, we can then go through and cat named.conf. Now, even though this is our main configuration file, you can see pretty much it's just making some inclusions. So if we go through and say, look at the name.conf.options, very much of this file is actually commented out, as we see, just using the C style // But we've got things saying the directory location, so you see that's where we can start caching some of our responses. Remember, by default, it's working as a caching only server. We can see some of the DNSSEC options, and we'll look at the security in more details later. We can see as well that we've got the auth-nx domain. That's really just saying, are we the authoritative domain? We're just setting this to no. It's best just to leave it like that. But if we are the authoritative domain, or we are looking after an authoritative domain, we can then go through and set that to yes. But we have to be careful about other information then that we host. And then we're saying that we're listening then on all of our IP version 6 addresses as well. When we clear this out and then go back and take a look inside the named.conf, and we can go through and look in the local, so we see this is left pretty much empty. And then when we go through and look at the default, we see most of our configuration is within this default file. Now, one of the most important settings within this file is actually specifying where the root zones are. So we can see here zone and dot, so that's the root zone. We specify it's of type hint, it's a different configuration file, but then we specify that we're going to read it in from etc bind/db.root. We've also got some other default zones in for the local host and the reverse lookup. And with those, we can set them to be authoritative by setting our type to be master. If we look at the permissions here, so I use ls-l, we can clear this out. As we go through, we can see then who has access to what. I'm able to read as a standard user. We can see the other permission is added into all of the files, except the rndc key file. So this is then kept private through to the bind user. We could include this within our configuration, and we could then specify who's allowed to have access through RNDC to control the server. If I use sudo and -u and bind, so go in as the bind user, and cat out the RNDC dot key. Of course, I've got to add in my password. But we can see then that we've got a named key, the algorithm that we're using, and then the secret. And we can then include this within our configuration, and we can control then access to the server through use of this key. For the moment though, let's jump back to our slides and start taking a look at our zone files.